What I think was very well done on both the behalf of Shein and Temu was how well they televised the price increases. And I think that that drives not only a different relationship with the consumer of trust, but also kind of what to expect. And so from the Coresight perspective, we, our data showed upwards of a 30% increase in the month of April going into those price hikes. And I think that we're starting to see more broadly. I'm actually at a conference for NACDS, so it's more on the consumable side, but we're seeing from their perspective also an increase. So I think the consumer is expecting this. I think they're going to be looking for deals. And I think when it comes to having the value framework, Shein and Temu are by far the best.
Give us your take on the impact of Shein and Temu's business model and the supply chain.
Yeah, that's, I think, a great point. And what we've started to see with Temu, right, is the localization of inventory in the US. And so that, I think, does give them a bit of a leg up and a real change in terms of being able to serve the US consumer. But if we start to think about how they source and how they serve the consumer, right? This idea of, being, product being made close to demand. So they don't hold a significant amount of inventory. Number one, they'll be able to be some of the first to benefit when, this is hopefully resolved or as things change, the dynamism of this environment. So they'll be number one, the first to benefit. Number two, they are continuing to do an amazing job on the marketing side and understanding the consumer. Obviously, we're seeing a pullback in terms of marketing as one needs to protect margins. And I think we're going to start to see some other changes as well. But once again, they're reacting much faster than we've seen other retailers. And then lastly, as they continue to kind of lean into AI and understanding what the consumer wants, we believe and we're seeing that they are, in fact, able to not only produce what the consumers want in the current season, but also in the upcoming, and doing a great job of televising that. So we believe that they are some of the best positioned in this current environment and have been impressed at how well they've reacted and how quickly.
I'm just tracking some lines coming through from the State Council and the press conference that is ongoing there, and the state planner saying that China created 3.08 million new urban jobs in the first quarter. I'm curious to know, Deborah, do you think that there will be an impact on jobs given that there's going to be price hikes, there's going to be movement in the supply chain? How does this impact, of course, jobs?
Well, in the long term, it's probably not an issue. In the short term, so it's been really interesting what we've heard from a lot of the suppliers. In the short term, many of them have actually moved some of the talent from China into other countries already. Because going back to this expertise in supply chain, I mean, this is one of the reasons China is such an important market globally, is because of the experience, the expertise, the attention to detail, and the quality. And so a lot of the vendors, the suppliers, the retailers, they're concerned if they change too much all at once, or even over a longer period of time, that quality will suffer. And so they want to make sure that they have those levels of expertise. And so I think that, potentially in the near term, but I feel that we're going to see a really interesting, and maybe this is more third quarter, but I will say this has been completely unexpected, but from a lot of European companies who were looking at the US, they're now looking towards China. And so I think that the, unexpected kind of aspect here could be where demand is moving to and from what countries in the West. So I have to say that I am more positive on how this plays out in the near term for China than I probably was a few weeks ago, because we've talked to many European retailers and brands. And that shift, like I said, I think has been quite unexpected. And actually how quickly they've shifted as well. So that is, I think, one of the aspects of this whole change in the environment that was not necessarily planned for the short term. And what could end up happening is that the US then doesn't have as much new product or interesting product just because of changes in the global supply chain, and that could be more enduring.